Good evening, everybody. I would like to start off tonight with an observation. I think that it's rather unusual, for the most part, to find a college student who went from being entirely broke before coming into college to actually being somewhat well off while in college. Well, wait a minute. This sounds a little bit counterintuitive. I mean, this generally happens the other way around, doesn't it? People accumulate debt when they get into college, on average, because of the rising costs of higher education and the inability to rely on one's parents the way that we used to while we were adolescents. So, does this person exist? Is there someone out there who actually experiences the exact opposite situation, being able to afford both necessities and luxuries while in college as opposed to before it? I believe that I am a part of that anomaly. At age 16, I was homeless, I was hungry, and truthfully, I was afraid. My father had just threatened my life and forced both my mother and me out of our homes. Now, when I became homeless, I like to think that I had two different options. I could have either, one, held a grudge against my father and the world, or two, I could have used my homelessness and hunger to rise above my circumstances and actually use them to motivate myself so that never again would I be caught in a similar situation. Now, before I actually address how I dealt with this homelessness, I'd like to fast forward briefly to a scene in the Georgia Dome where I was competing for $100,000 from the Dr. Pepper $1 Million tuition giveaway. As one of the 25 finalists of the competition, whose video was selected from thousands of videos that were submitted nationwide on drpepper.com, my task was to throw as many footballs as possible into an oversized can of Dr. Pepper within 30 seconds. And this was in front of all of the spectators in the stands at the Georgia Dome. It was also in front of the millions of viewers who were watching national television at home. Now, if in case you missed the 2011 SEC Championship halftime game, here's how it went. I made 13 balls into the 2-foot diameter hole that was my target inside of the Dr. Pepper can. My opponent made 11. I had won, and I got just a little bit emotional. I mean, not too emotional, because I'm not the kind of person to cry endlessly and to get over-emotional and oversensitive, and so sensitive to the point where people actually put videos of me on YouTube and made remixes that went viral. This definitely didn't happen because I'm not the kind of person to get oversensitive. So as a Dr. Pepper scholar and spokesperson, there are these classic questions, I like to call, that I get asked way too often. Number one, do you get a lifetime supply of Dr. Pepper? Number two, are you contractually obligated to drink Dr. Pepper and only Dr. Pepper? And number three, how did you do it? The answers are no, of course not, and, well, let's rewind a little bit and turn back to my homelessness to actually figure out how I went about winning this scholarship. As a result of my displacement, honestly, I was angry for a really long time. Eventually, though, I realized that the angry, desperate, homeless girl that I thought I was actually a character. It was a role that I was forced to fulfill by outside circumstances. I then realized that I had the decision-making power to fulfill my own roles, roles of my choosing, roles that I could actually create on my own. So, for some time, I tried as best as possible to direct my anger positively by participating in after-school theater programs and competitions. I didn't want to leave school just to figure out where I was going to sleep and what I was going to eat. Instead, I wanted to take control of the diverse characters that I played in life by actually constructing my own and rejecting those that outside circumstances tried to impose on me. So, Viola Spolin, a trailblazer and an innovator in improvisational theater whose teachings I use myself, which is something that I'll describe later. argues that improvisational theater can actually help us deal with present time and direct right now experiences. Now, I don't think that she meant present time as time on a clock. Instead, I think it's best to understand this as these direct right now experiences, or as I like to think of them, now moments. Because I think that experience implies somewhat of an extended period of time, and I actually think that we have a tremendous capacity to prepare and plan for these long periods of time, but there are these few now moments that creep up on us. They demand our attention, and they're moments in our life that we don't anticipate. These moments can sometimes be best illustrated by those times in your life when, despite all of the planning and the meticulous attention that you put on detail, these moments still arise. And sometimes they're manifested in those moments that we don't expect to happen, or even sometimes just those times that simply go wrong. In my own trainings in theater, I've tried as best as possible to immerse myself in these now moments where I should be free of doubt and hesitation. It was this attitude exactly, and my trainings in theater, that actually allowed me to make the spontaneous decisions necessary to appropriately and successfully approach the Dr. Pepper $1 Million tuition giveaway. So let's fast forward just a little bit again, back to the scene in the Georgia Dome. Even though I executed all of these practices and I had songs from musicals stored in my mind that I would sing to myself to calm myself down, there were still these now moments that I couldn't anticipate when I got onto that field. And the most significant one was the one where I didn't anticipate the amount of anxiety that I would feel when I got on the field. So, 5'1", petite, Ivon Padilla Rodriguez, with hands way too small to actually hold the football the proper way on the laces, embodied a 250-pound football player that was just playing in another game, that was playing after years of experience. This was a spontaneous choice that I made in that now moment of the halftime game. It wasn't pre-planned and it wasn't rehearsed. For me, in this brief moment in time, this brief now moment, it was actually okay to be someone else through a character. It actually ended up working to my advantage, and I knew that I would never lose sight of who I truly am by doing this and becoming a pro football player. Once I looked to the scoreboard and realized that I had won, I thought to myself, who knew that theater could actually help someone on a football field? This is something that simply never occurred to me. So soon thereafter, I realized that theater can be a powerful mechanism for social change. It can certainly be something that can equip individuals with the tools necessary to deal with these now moments that creep up on us and that we can't plan for, in order to address them properly and to accomplish what it is we want to accomplish. So I thought about what I could do to help other people who had a similar background as myself achieve those skills necessary that can equip them with the ability to address everyday occurrences and ultimately transform society through individual action and accomplishments by knowing how to address these now moments. So my answer came in February 2012 when I co-founded Spotlight, Academy for Young Actors, at a nonprofit theater, the Good Luck Macbeth Theater in the Midtown area, along with Rachel Lopez. And as a Spotlight instructor, I have taught classes on improvisational theater, on monologue, and scene preparation. We also have a partnership with Washoe County School District where we teach in an after-school program that provides enrichment activities to Washoe County School District's Title I schools. Just last semester, I taught a bilingual class to a group of Latina elementary school students where they had the opportunity to come to our theater and to perform a monologue and scene showcase for their parents, completely cost-free with transportation provided. The whole thing was a ton of fun, and these students were able to do this. But my most memorable experience as a Spotlight instructor came when I brought the program to orphanages in Latin America. In a Mexican orphanage specifically that I was in teaching, Casa Hogar Nacidos para Triunfar, which literally translates to Home for Those Born to Triumph. Obviously a very fitting title. I taught students whose ages ranged from 7 to 12 years old. Now, I would argue that these students, these Mexican children, have experienced more now moments in their life than most of us have had in ours. These students didn't anticipate to lead a life that lacked strong parental figures. But through the activities that we participated in together, where we actually learned skills that were central to improvisational theater, like working with each other, active listening, spontaneity, character and emotional development, they started to embody different characters. They started to redefine their circumstances through the use of improvisational theater. Now, I saw a lot of myself in the eyes of these students because just when I lacked strong parent figures, I looked to theater as my safe haven, where I could stay late and I could construct characters of my own just like these students did. So, I'm here to encourage absolutely everyone who has experienced an obstacle to remain in the present, to become critical spectators, whether you're on or off stage, to examine the roles that you play in life and simply roll with those moments, understanding that you cannot anticipate them and you cannot plan for them. Improvisational theater is a cross-cultural, universal tool for social change that can equip us with the tools necessary to address these now moments, moments that can actually plague just about everything from applying to scholarships, to teaching others, to politics, to economics, all of which require different perspectives, different roles, and different barrier-breaking tactics. Now, today, at age 19, I stand here with a lifetime ahead of me of now moments that I cannot anticipate for and I cannot plan for. But instead of being afraid, I'm going to try to tackle them head on as best as I possibly can by acknowledging that I'm going to stay in the present time, that I'm going to try to close the gap between thinking and doing and simply experience. Theater can be that tool for social change for us, where we shouldn't be afraid to take on other roles, other characters and personas, because we're never truly going to lose sight of who we are. It can help us with those moments that we do not and cannot anticipate, moments all too common in all of our lives, no matter where you are in the world, what language you speak, or the color of your skin. Thank you.